So, here is a short excerpt from Hamlet, the classic play. And it seems to follow what we talked about before with value, problem, decision, answer, and meaning. And then each of those beats broken into value, problem, answer, and maybe meaning. Meaning is often dropped, especially as the story keeps going. The meaning here is maybe just the story continues. But we could begin with the king's death. We could all understand, if we lived in a country, the value of the news of the king's death. Except the story of the king's death is a lie. That's a problem. We have all been deceived in Denmark, and a snake is wearing the crown of our country. In the Western mind, this would be very symbolic. And if you look at our previous story, this picture is also very symbolic. It's the love knot in the other story we looked at. But here we have this answer, maybe this symbol, this valuable totem of what our story might be. And from value comes a problem. We have this adulterate beast, as he's described, a kind of terrible monster, but with great wit and with great gifts, money. He's the king's brother. We can all see the value of that problem. The king's brother is witty and rich. The problem of the problem is he starts giving gifts to the queen. And the answer to the problem is that the queen then falls in love with him, the king's brother. While the king is watching the country, the king's brother and the queen are having an affair. And here is a little Shakespearean aside, which is quite beautiful, about virtue and this sort of thing. But we don't have time to talk about it. Just know that it's there, and let's talk about the decision that follows from the problem, which is that this man, the king's brother, gets access to the king while the king is sleeping. Again, we can see the value of this decision. If you have access to the king while he's asleep, you might do something good or you might do something bad, like pour poison into the king's ear. This is the problem of the decision, and the answer of that is the king's body turns all creepy and crawly and bad. And what does that mean? What's the answer to the whole story? The king has been killed. The king is dead. We can see the value of this answer, and that it leads to a problem in the answer for this monster guy. He wants to be king, but maybe the king's son should be king. But the king's son is far away. The senators are here. The queen's in love with him. He sort of takes the throne rather quickly, but he makes himself the king. This is the answer to that problem that we had up here. He has made himself the king, and he has the queen now for his wife. The senators have approved him, and all of Denmark is deceived. And here again, we have a Shakespearean aside about how the real king's spirit didn't get to go to heaven. And what does that really mean? What's the meaning of the whole story? Is the ghost of the king has appeared to Hamlet. That's the meaning of all that has happened. The king's ghost has appeared to his son, the prince, and we can all see the value of that meaning. We would be quite interested if a ghost appeared to us. The ghost brings Hamlet a problem. He tells him this story and tells Hamlet, well, you must stop this incestuous marriage, this marriage between the queen and this evil brother. You must stop that. That's your problem. Unfortunately, the king does not give Hamlet a very good answer. And so the entire play revolves really around Hamlet's confusion about how to deal with this situation. Nonetheless, I think you might see that we can use these ideas of value, problem, decision, answer, and meaning to write a passage, a story that is engaging.